Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. Look, it's getting very exciting here. We're getting ready for one of the biggest matches of the year here for anybody that follows football or rugby league. Here in Australia, it's the Battle of the State of Origin. And even though I live in Queensland, I was actually born in the state of New South Wales. So you have to go for who you were born with, where you were born, where your origin is. So it's getting very exciting. And that's why I'm a little bit tongue-tied this morning, because it's only hours away till kickoff and we get very excited about our football here in Australia. So here we go. We've got the Simply Tarot card of the week, which is a really nice card, because a lot of people sort of look at the Magician and they say, oh, what does that really mean? Now, the Magician card can be the element of surprise, and surprises aren't always good, are they? Sometimes they're not so good. So it's the element of surprise, good or bad. It can be a situation where if you look very closely at the Magician card, you can see that the Magician actually has all the four elements sitting on the table. He's got the cups, he's got the wands, he's got the pentacles, and he's got the sword. So he has the ability there to make anything that he wants a reality. You have the ability to manifest things, but that doesn't mean that you haven't got to put some hard effort into that. You know, nothing comes to those easily, or it might seem easy to someone else, but it's always about putting the effort in. You know, having a good plan, executing the plan, have the follow through, and really make sure that this is what's really connected to you. Sometimes we start projects and we're all enthusiastic, and then we sort of die halfway through and think, oh, that's not really what I wanted. Maybe I shouldn't have started it. Make sure if you're going to use the power of the Magician card that you're fully committed. This is exactly what you want, because once you started in motion with the Magician, it's really difficult to stop it or stop it midstream. It really does sort of follow through and sort of execute right to the end. It's one of my favourite cards, because when it comes out with a mass of other cards, if there's sort of not so positive cards around you or things are looking a little bit grim, this comes in and sort of is like a breath of fresh air. It sort of comes in and the Magician comes in and says, okay, what do you want? You know, I've got all my tools laid here on the table in front of me. Now let's manifest, let's create what it is that you're hoping to achieve. But you have to be really sure that this is what you want. And it's sort of, anytime you work with the tarot, sometimes things can be a little bit ambiguous. You've got to look at what it is that you're really hoping to achieve. So make sure that you're fully aware of what it is you're trying to achieve. Now, this week astrologically marks a really interesting time, because we've had so much emphasis of planets being sitting in Pisces for such a long time now that I almost sort of feel like a broken record when I keep talking about Pisces this and Pisces that. Well, guess what? This week I'm not going to talk about Pisces. We're going to talk about another sign or two instead. So this week the sun is in Gemini. Happy birthday to all the Geminis. They're some of my favourite people in the world, because Gemini people are full of life, full of inspiration. They flit around from one thing to another. They sort of motivate people. They're great with conversation usually, and they really do know what's going on in their local environment. They sort of, up to the minute with, what's happening, what fates, what dances, what concerts, whatever's might be on. Ask a Gemini and they'll surely be able to tell you about what's happening in their local environment. But also too, that they're such quick thinking people that they get us out of our ruts. Sometimes I think we can get a little bit bogged down and we can think too much about something. With a Gemini, it's like the snap of the fingers, bang, 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 let's go. Here's the different ideas. Here's the different headlines. You go away and sort out the details, but I've given you the ideas. I've given you the starting point. And I think that's what makes them so integral part of the zodiac. I mean, no one sign is more important than the other, but I think every now and then, particularly after we've come out of the Taurian era where everything is sort of slow, deliberate and definite, it's nice to get a bit of bounce back in things and get somebody snapping their fingers and saying, have you thought about this and have you thought about that? So it certainly is happy birthday to all the Geminis. Now we have Mercury, the planet of communication, is sitting or holding hands with the sun in Gemini at the moment, so it's called a conjunction in real astrological terms. So what this means is that Mercury is leading the charge here. Mercury is the planet of communication. Now, not all communication, as we know in our lives, is pleasant or happy or what we want it to be. Sometimes it's a little bit forceful. Sometimes it can be a little bit sad, but it is communication. And when we say communication, we're not just talking about the conversations we have with voice. We're talking about all forms of communication. In this modern world, we've got emails, we've got SMSs, we've got text messages, we've got all different forms of social media that we can communicate with. These are all forms of communication. Even singing's a form of communication. So don't just look at it as I've got to have a verbal conversation with somebody. Could even be the old fashioned way you get a snail mail letter in the mail. Wow, that takes us back, doesn't it? But there's all different forms of communication. And when you think about it, we really are a communication society these days. We've got communication coming out our ears, from social media, from text messages, from all different platforms, that we are bombarded with communication. Sometimes it's just nice to sort of take yourself off to the park and sort of sit and be and not talk to another living soul and just absorb nature for a while to bring some balance back into our lives. We also have the new moon. Now, look, I don't often talk about new moons and full moons on this show, but we've got the new moon conjunct what's known as the part of fortune. Now, the part of fortune is not a planet. It's where we're looking to sort of aspire to. It's where we're looking for the greatest opportunities. Now, at the moment, the new moon is conjunct or holding hands, the part of fortune, both sitting in Gemini. So it really is sort of like the Gemini flavor at the moment. Now, when we talk about Gemini, we're also talking about the two other remaining air signs, which is Libra and Aquarius, and the opposite sign of Sagittarius. But we are also allowing these messages to flow across to the other 8 signs too. They're just a lot more watered down than the intensity. So the new moon is about new opportunities. There's lots of different ways of whether you put your crystals out under a full moon or a new moon. I'm not a real crystal person, so I think you do what feels right to you. And that's the most important thing, I think, with most things. But a new moon signals something new. It's saying to us that we need to expand our horizons, look at things through a different lens. And because it's in Gemini, it's asking us to get involved in our local community, get chatting, get talking, get some inspirational ideas. This could help you in your quest to be able to sort of move your life forward and become your part of fortune. So maybe there's opportunities here that, it's a great time to have your cell phone or your mobile phone next to you that you can voice record some light bulb moments or some voice pops if you need to. I'm old fashioned. I like to have a pen and paper near me so that I can jot things down. It's however you record or can recall later on the ideas that came to you. And it's got to be something that that's automatic to you. And I mean, I know most people, work on their devices these days and like to work with that with their tablet or their iPad. It's up to you, whichever way that you can get your ideas down so that you can come back and recall them again in a few days or a few weeks or whatever, and not lose those golden nuggets that are being handed to you. So we also, now this is where things start to get exciting, where we're not talking about Pisces anymore. We've got Neptune, the planet of illusion and delusion, has been sitting in Aries now for a few weeks. I don't know that Neptune has really started to bite yet. Neptune's sort of just dipping his toe in the water there and sort of seeing what I can stir up and see if I can make all the Aries people on the planet feel a little bit uncomfortable. And he's doing a good job of that. But Neptune now is conjunct or holding hands with Saturn, the planet of discipline and structure, that has just moved into Aries as well. Now, both of those planets have been sitting in Pisces, which seems like forever. It's only been a few years, but it seems like forever. With Saturn, he's going to be sitting here for approximately 2.5 years. So it's going to be a really revolutionary time here, because please remember that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So everything that enters into Aries is bringing sort of like a whole brand new fresh cycle for each and every one of us, regardless of what your star sign is, because it's just entering in there for the first time in a very, very long time, for over 28 years. So, it's been a long time since Aries had this sort of attention. So let's lap it up. So yes, it's going to affect the fire signs, which is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and the opposite sign of Libra, but it will wash over all the other signs. So Neptune's leading the charge here, and Neptune's saying to you, I want you to get your creative hat out of the closet, out of the wardrobe, out of the cupboard, and start to look at how you can implement more creative ways into your life. Is there something that you've been putting off? Is there a conversation that maybe you need to have? Maybe find a creative way of doing that. But remember here, with we've got the conjunction or the holding hands with Saturn, there's got to be a certain amount of structure. There's got to be a certain amount of discipline in whatever we're trying to do. Now, it's not that they're fighting with each other. I don't want to make it sound like that. Neptune is leading the charge, saying, let's find some creative, innovative, different ways to sort of approach situations or approach problems in your life or approach people. Saturn's coming in behind saying, so, okay, that's great. Now let's find a very constructive, logical sort of way to present this information or to approach the situation so that everybody feels comfortable. Now, the fact that it's in an Aries energy is it's a me first energy. It's got an urgent sort of feel about it. It can be fiery, it can be outspoken. It can also seem as if it's very self-absorbed or very self-centered. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter what your star sign is. Sometimes we need to put ourselves first. We need to be the one that's leading the charge. We need to be the one that's the head of the queue. And when we understand what my needs are, or the I needs are, then we can put it into how you feel and what your needs are. So, but you need to take it back to self first. So I can't stress that enough, that this is really important with any creative or fresh ideas that are coming up and you get the structure there, make sure you take it back to I first. How does this affect me? Then I can put it into context of how it will affect you or how it will play out on a much bigger stage. So I can't stress that enough. Continuing on with the Aries theme, we've got Venus, the planet of communication. Venus, the planet of communication. Venus is a planet of love, I beg your pardon. But yes, of course, communication is very important in matters of the heart. Is conjunct or holding hands another Arabian part, or what's known as Chiron. Now, Chiron is affectionately known as the wounded healer in our chart. It's where we need to heal from. Now, these two planet and the Arabian part are also sitting in Aries. So what it's asking for all of us, no matter what your star sign is, if there's something in your relationship or the way that you approach your relationship that needs sorting out, or needs some TLC, some tender loving care, make sure you take it back to self first. You take it back to me, myself, and then I can look at you and how this affects you, and then we can find some solutions to work on in that way. So Venus is here is not necessarily saying there's everything wrong with your relationship. Pardon me. What Venus is asking here is that open up the lines of communication. Let's talk about love. Let's talk about our feelings. Let's talk about the things that are really important to us. And, you know, there may be some healing that needs to be done in the relationship. If so, again, take it back to self before we take it into the you or how you're feeling. But it may also be that maybe you need to just heal yourself. Maybe that, you know, there's been some past loves or some past relationships that didn't work out quite so well, and you've put that back in the closet because I don't want to deal with that now. It's a little bit too hard, a little bit too difficult. Well, now's the time to bring it out and let's start the healing. Let's start being very bluntly honest and looking at what went wrong and taking ownership for your part as well. Don't put all the blame on the other person, because, you know, it takes two to tango and it takes two to break a relationship up. So you've got to look for what part that you were responsible for, or parts with an S, and start to heal that. We don't always have to blame the other person. We can say, well, okay, that was their opinion. Mine was different. They're entitled to their opinion. I was entitled to mine. And that's why we parted company, because we couldn't find any middle ground. And it's just that sort of release, or coming to terms with the fact that nobody was right or wrong, but, you know, we did our time together. It was wonderful while it lasted. And then when it went sour, it was time to go our own separate ways. And not all relationships are meant to be happily ever after till death do us part. Some are only meant to be in our lifetime for a certain season, or a couple of years, or a couple of days, or a couple of months, whatever it might be. And quite often they're sort of like leftover relationships from other past lives that we're tidying up our house, so to speak. So don't look at it on a negative. Look at this as a very powerful time. Even if you're in a very stable relationship and you're finding lots of old memories are coming in from past loves or past situations or people that you were emotionally connected to, and they don't always have to be love affairs. They can be relatives, they can be friends. You know, it's that loving relationship that we shared. You know, if that's coming back in and asking you to look at it and process it and then let it go or put it away, that's what you need to be doing, because it's part of the healing. And the healing's for each and every one of us. But as I said before, it's mainly for the Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and the opposite sign of Libra. We also have Jupiter, the planet of luck and opportunity, is still sitting in Gemini, will be there for a while. So, anybody, doesn't matter what your star sign is, if you're looking to expand your world or sort of maybe go for a promotion or a raise or something like that, then the planets are with you at the moment. But make sure that it feels right for you. Don't just do it because I've suggested it. Make sure that you feel that this is the perfect time to approach that person about something that needs to be changing in your life. And for the rest of us, it might just be that there's new opportunities, these job opportunities on the horizon, or people are offering you things. Doesn't mean you've got to accept everything that crosses your path. It means have a good look at it, see how it fits. Is it right or wrong for you? And then make your decision accordingly. I know for me, I've had loads of offers in the last couple of weeks. It's been sort of like all of a sudden the world realised I'm around. And, it's up to that person, as it was for me, to say yes or no to the situations that are being presented. Finally, I want to talk about Uranus. Uranus, the planet of the unusual and unexpected, has been sitting in Taurus now for a long time, but it's still there. It's still creating havoc. It's still creating things out of nowhere. If you're an earth sign, which is Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or the opposite sign of Scorpio, still believe in the fact that things can happen very suddenly. Things can happen out of nowhere. You can be taken by surprise. It's not always, are things going to pan out the way that you anticipated or the way that you wanted. Uranus's role here is to to break everything up, to sort of get you to get out of your comfort zone and start to see that there's other potential solutions, that not just the way that you see them. Be flexible and you'll find that Uranus can work in your favour. We're going to talk with our very first caller today, and it's Melinda in Sydney in New South Wales. How are you, Melinda? You getting ready for the State of Origin?
Oh, no, not exactly.
Not exactly.
How
But you're
are you?
up with it?
No, I'm stuck on the last thing about the Earth sign and Uranus. I seem to be in that planet always.
Well, Uranus has been sitting there for such a time now, Melinda. It almost feels like we're stuck in that energy.
Honestly.
But the positive side of Uranus is that it can move things along very quickly. It can sort of, today you can be sort of stuck in
Oh,
the
it
mud, and
certainly
tomorrow you
does.
can be out in the sunshine.
No,
So how
I'm
do I
not stuck in the mud, but the same colour.
the same colour? Well, that's not good. Okay, Melinda, do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetheart?
Oh, just, whatever you feel that the universe needs to tell me, I'm open. I'll go with
Okay, all right.
Uranus.
All right. Okay. I always ask because quite often people have a particular question they want answered, and we've got such limited time, and I like to get it to it. It's really interesting because as I was talking to you about the football and the State of Origin, Melinda, they were showing me that the fact that it's time to get you out of your comfort zone. It's like there's a number of endings, changes, and transformations that are happening at the moment, and you keep referring back to Uranus affectionately. Well, Uranus is actually starting to work for you. So I'm going to say to you, sort of hang on to your hat. Just be very careful what you send out to the universe. Don't send something out that you don't want to become a reality. Don't say, oh, I hate my job, and then next week you lose your job and say, oh, I didn't really mean that. Be very careful what we voice. It's okay to have thoughts, but be very careful what you voice. But they were showing me that Uranus is going to come along like the bolt of lightning. It's clearing a lot of things away from your past at the moment, and it's going to be sort of like here 1 minute and gone the next. And it's like, okay, yeah, we've got 10 seconds to look at that, to grieve it, or say, well done, I'm glad it's gone, or whatever the case may be, and then move on. You've got to be ready to be able to
Yeah.
sort of go bang, bang, bang with the snap of your fingers. Life is changing, things are moving. And saying things are moving, they were showing me the potential there of a change of residence. Is that something that you've been sort of tossing up backwards and forwards a little bit?
Well, I'm in the middle of it, and it's been a very
Good.
long, dragged out process. Yeah,
Right. Well, they're
it's not
showing
good.
me that that's a good thing. But yeah, but it's going to end up being good. It's going to end up being the best thing that's ever happened once the dust settles. They're also showing me the
Yeah,
opportunity for more money to come towards you. And I'm not necessarily saying working harder. I'm saying that there's an opportunity that's
yeah,
going to come to you. It's sort of like a day job sitting here in the middle, but this is sort of over to one side. It's like something coming in sideways. And it's like, oh, I like that idea. But you don't just like it because
yeah,
there's extra money. It's sort of something that makes your heart sing as well. It's like doing a side gig, that's something that makes you happy and you're really happy about it. And
yeah,
the money's a bonus. So I think the remainder of this year Melinda, is going to be where you can't really plan everything. You're just going to have to go with everything by the seat of your pants. It's like, okay, this is what we're dealing with today. We make decisions, we act, we move, we do whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, now we can
Yeah.
exhale, and then tomorrow's another day. And if you can keep going in that
Yeah.
momentum, by the time we get to the end of the year, you'll look back and say, wow, I didn't see all that coming, but gee, I'm pleased it did. It's moved everything
Yeah.
along, but it's also got you into a much, much better position. They're showing me a really big pink heart. So does that mean we're looking for love, Melinda, or we're just increasing what we've got?
Not at this stage, no. I'm just trying to pick up the pieces of my house and everything else because it's gone on for 5 months.
Mm.
Just everything has gotten in front of me, and it's dragged on for 5 months. It's just nightmare, an absolute nightmare I want to get out of. I'm trying.
Oh, well, you
Um,
will be able to. And they were also showing me, and I know we're at the end of May now, but they were showing me by September, like this is all in the rear vision mirror. Like I can look back and sort of wave a goodbye and say, wow, that took an almighty effort. But, you feel very happy by then.
that would have been
You're
11
in the
months
new.
later.
Yeah, but I'm
Hopefully.
not saying it's going to take you till that time. I'm just saying by the time you get to there, it's like you can look back and say, well, that's way back in the rear vision mirror. Like I'm glad I came through it. And here I am, I'm able to sort of look forward and be very happy. So, you've got a lot of good things coming up for you, Melinda. You just got to stay strong, sweetie, and work with Uranus. Don't work against it. He's your best friend.
I'm trying. I really am.
I know,
Thank you for that.
sweetie, but
I
everything's going to
appreciate
be
it.
better. But the fact that they were showing me a big pink heart from spirit is showing me that things are going to get better. If you're not looking for love, there's a lot of love around you. There's people there that can help you, and just, have a little chat with whoever on the other side, whoever it might be. Tell them that, you need some help because they are there to help. Anyway, Melinda, that's where we're going to leave it. I know you're not a big State of Origin fan, but go the Blues. Anyway, we're going to talk with Tiffany now in Bushnell in Florida. Are you there, Tiffany?
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Tiffany. Do you have a question I can
Hello.
answer for you, sweetie?
Yeah, so I don't know if you can do this one, but I'm trying to figure out because I think I might be pregnant, and I'm kind of nervous about it, and I
Nervous about
figure
what,
out what
sweetie?
to do.
Nervous about what,
being
sweetie?
about being pregnant.
Oh, about being pregnant. Is that what you're nervous about?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Well, are you nervous because you don't want to be a mum, or are you nervous because
No,
of
I
other
do.
reasons? You do.
No,
Okay.
I do.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's a big step, and I can understand you being nervous about, the possibility of being a mum. Look, normally I don't talk about whether people are going to be pregnant or have babies or whatever, but what they're showing me is a bunch of pink hearts, and that's not necessarily saying if you are pregnant there's going to be a baby girl. It's just showing me from the other side. They're with you, and they're showing you that there's lots of love around you, and I do believe you don't have any children yet.
No, not yet.
No.
This is my first.
This is your first, but have you lost a baby before this, sweetie?
Yes.
Yeah, because they're showing
And
me.
And I didn't know I was pregnant, so
No, that's okay. No, but sometimes they show me things in a sort of certain order. They were showing me one that was lost, and then they're showing me two to come. So let's assume that the two
yes.
to come is now, and not necessarily in this order, but they were showing me a boy and a girl. They never get them in the right order. They just show me the sexes of the babies and how many there is. So I think you need to sort of relax, go with everything. I think everything's going to be amazing. And, I can understand your trepidation. I truly can. I mean, it's a scary time, and as well as being an exciting time being pregnant, and the potential of being a mum for the first time is a very big responsibility. But they're also sort of showing me that they want you to sort of just breathe, like calm down, just breathe in, breathe out, just follow the breathing, and sort of everything will be okay. And, that's not normally something that I would suggest to somebody. That's what's come from the other side. That's what's come from your spirit guides, is that they just want you to relax and enjoy the process. But they're also sort of asking me, why are you so nervous about this? Is there some reason? Is there some health reason why this would make you nervous?
I don't know. It's because I'm first time mom and, and I'm
Mhm.
excited about it. So yeah.
Yeah, because they're showing me that there's nothing to worry about, like just relax, focus on your breathing, keep yourself calm, and look, nature will take care of the rest. I mean, women have been giving birth to babies for thousands of years, and you're not going to be the exception to the rule. You'll manage to do it too. And I'm not saying that to
Yes.
patronize you. I'm just that they're saying to me from the other side, like this is a very natural process, and they want you to enjoy every single minute of it. That don't get yourself too stressed out. I mean, look, there's plenty of books and searches you can do on the internet if you get a twinge or an ache or whatever. But look, can I just sort of say to you, most times things that happen during our pregnancy are false alarms. We get a pain in the right side and we think, oh my God, and we race off to the doctors and he says, oh, it's nothing but wind. And you think, then you feel stupid. But they're very natural concerns. Every woman on the planet that's ever given birth to a baby has gone through some of this. It's just the way
Okay.
it is. And because it's such precious cargo, we don't want to do anything wrong. And, we start to compare ourselves to other people. And I don't think there's two people on the planet that are the same. And I don't think there's two pregnant women on the planet that are the same either. As long as you sort of follow what feels right to you, make sure you get plenty of rest and make sure you get a balanced diet, the rest of it will take care of itself. And yeah, there will be some funny little quirky aches and pains or things that you didn't
Yes.
notice, or the baby moves to one side or something and you think, oh my God, something's wrong because the baby's moved to the one side. No, they just like doing things like that. They're all very normal things. I want to tell you to relax. You're going to have a very healthy baby, and you're going to dream about what the baby's going to look like a little bit older. So don't be upset by that. It's just sort of spirit's way of trying to show
Okay.
you that the baby's going to grow up to be a big person. So they're showing you in different dreams at different stages of what the baby will be like. I never like to try and sort
Yes.
of guess what the sex is, but I can certainly tell you this one's going to be very lively, have a definite opinion or opinions on things, and going to keep you on your toes. And that's good because that's a sign of a
Yes.
very healthy child. So is your partner
I
very
mean,
lively, is he?
well, that's hard to explain because
No.
I won't say it, but
Okay.
it was
All right. Well, I just assumed maybe that the real super liveliness of this child is coming from your partner. It's sort of like, but anyway, sweetie, that's where we've got to leave it. We've only got seconds left of the show. I wish you well. So this week I want to leave you with a song. We've been talking about the state of origin all the way through. Here in Australia, Tina Turner and Jimmy Barnes were the official people that did a song for the rugby league here in Australia called Simply the Best. I know in other countries they have Neil Diamond and Sweet Caroline, but we have Tina and Jimmy here singing You're Simply the Best. And it's been many, many years since that was a big hit here. And I can remember taking my children to the football matches and that would build out and the whole crowd would be standing up and singing to both Tina and Jimmy. So it's like an unofficial rugby league anthem now, and we really love our league here, and particularly State of Origin. And go the Blues, and I'll see you next week, and enjoy Jimmy and Tina. Bye for now.